And now here on to its highlights of this afternoon's Canadian Grand Prix, introduced by Trevor Walker.
Forgive us, please, if we feel very emotional, because that's our line. They're breaking ranks, the Union Jacks are waving, and Nigel Mansell wins the 1992 British Grand Prix in terrific style. Go, go, go! And it's happened immediately! This is amazing! Out! Oh my goodness, this is fantastic! Yeah, look at that! Brilliant! Absolutely brilliant! 3.36 seconds! There we are, folks. I'm back.
Hello and welcome to a circuit named after one of the truly great Formula 1 drivers. The Gilles Villeneuve circuit here in Montreal, Quebec for the Canadian Grand Prix, round 6 of this Formula 1 World Championship that is certainly living up to the billing in Schumacher versus Senna. And so far, it's been an absolutely thrilling season so far. Thank you all very much for staying with us and putting up with all the delays, but we're going to get moving on this series very quickly because we've got a lot to bring you, and it's a championship season so far that is very much starting to live up to the hype. It's incredibly close at the top. When we have a look at the Drivers' Championship standing, Michael Schumacher has a 10-point lead over Ayrton Senna at the moment. Damon Hill is third, the only other driver to break double digits at the moment. But Senna and Schumacher at the moment are in a league of their own in this season. And so are Benetton and Williams in terms of the Constructors' Championship. Benetton very much have the jump over Williams, Ferrari and McLaren fighting out for that third place. Well, in terms of qualifying today, the master of it was Michael Schumacher. Another pole position for him alongside Damon Hill on the front row. The Ferraris have locked out row 2 with Jean Alesi getting third, Gerhard Berger coming in fourth. Eddie Irvine, a brilliant drive for fifth, and Martin Brundle comes through in the McLaren in sixth. Ayrton Senna, after that 5th-place penalty, is down to 7th place, and Gianni Morbidelli in the footwork Haag is next to him at 8th. Mika Hakkinen in the other McLaren is 9th alongside Heinz Farrell Frentzen in the Sauber. Rubens Barrichello is alongside Omri de Cesaris in the Sauber. Uko Kasiyama in the Towers next to JJ Leto. And Michele Alboreto in the Minardi is just ahead of Christian Fittipaldi in the other footwork. Olivier Parnis in the Ligiers alongside Eric Comas in the Lotus. Mark Blundell is in 19th place in the Tyrrell next to Pierluigi Martini in the Minardi. And Olivier Beretta is alongside Eric Bernard and the Ligier at the back of the grid. So Schumacher on the right, Damon Hill on the left, both Ferraris behind them as well. We're waiting for the lights to turn red, and after red there will be a pause from anything between 3 to 5 seconds, and we'll be underway here at the Canadian Grand Prix. There is the red light, waiting for the green light, and go, 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 go! It's a good start by Michael Schumacher. Alesi's got away like a bullet. Damon Hill just on the inside, breaking to the first corner, and Schumacher's ahead. Damon Hill is second, Alesi is third, Berger is fourth, and Irvine there looks to be going around the outside of Hakkinen. There is Senna in 7th place also, so Schumacher's off the line fantastically. A really good start, and Schumacher leads away Hill, Alesi and Berger, and Irvine has got ahead of Brundle there. Brilliant bit of driving there for Irvine to get himself through, so that means Ayrton Senna will be in 7th place. There is Schumacher storming away, and already you can see those 4 cars shooting away into the distance here in Canada, a circuit which is known for its fast straights, its difficult chicanes, and an added section brought in this year, an added chicane to try and slow these cars down after the Drivers' Association are deemed it to be slightly unsafe. But Hill is right off the back of Schumacher that is driving off. Now they're heading back up to the start-finish straight, and you can see there that Schumacher's already put in a gap there of 6/10 of a second. So he's absolutely flying in that Benetton, right behind Senna in the last 2 races. But here he goes flying up. We're going to head into the very first time into the start-finish straight. They will brake for about 190 mile an hour coming in to take that on a bird, so about nearly 100 mile an hour start-finish straight. Schumacher leads, Hill is second, and Lacey is third, Berger is fourth, and what a fantastic start by Michael Schumacher.
Yes, he got some great traction off the line and managed to hold off the challenge from young Damon Hill. 2 Ferraris as well, keeping in touching distance, of course. This would be a good result for them and the constructors, obviously. But a great start from him. And Ayrton Senna, the championship contender, currently stuck behind that McLaren, who'll be looking to dispatch of them fairly quickly if he's to get in with a shout of scoring some decent points today.
Well, Martin Brundle and Ayrton Senna used to race together in Formula 3. Formula 3000, great rivals until Senna left 10 years ago to join Tolman, and he's right on the back of his Formula 3000 opponent, and brilliantly shutting the door there was Martin Brundle. And these 2 great rivals certainly have a lot of respect between one another, but will there be a distance in terms of mechanical feat? How much quicker is that Williams compared to the McLaren? And Brundle there brilliantly cutting off Senna.
Yes, he's shutting the door at the right moment to avoid any opportunities for Ayrton, although this tricky chicane up here might cause a bit of trouble as Senna just weaving left and right looking for a gap, but there's not one to go for. I'm personally not a big fan of the chicane there. They should just let them go flat out, but safety is paramount, of course. But Senna just can't quite find a gap, although here might be his chance.
And here goes Senna on the inside, and he just backs out at the last second, I think eventually realising that if he carried on and caused an accident, as Michael Schumacher sets the fastest lap of the race, he may live to regret it. And Damon Hill here is watching Schumacher fly off into the distance, and as a result of it here, he's got Jean Lacey sitting right behind him. So Damon Hill second, there is Lacey in third place, behind him is his teammate Gerhard Berger. Both are on 8 points in the World Championship, joint 5th at the moment. Damon Hill is in third place, and there is the championship leader and race leader Michael Schumacher that's just considering to put in raced it in some brilliant performance again and move away. And there is Lacey right on the back of Hill, and I think Damon, if I'm looking at the time index here, is just starting to put a little bit of distance between the 2 of them.
Yes, well, that Williams chassis-wise is probably a lot lighter, of course. It only has the V10 engine as opposed to the rather heavy but more powerful V12 that the Ferraris have. So on this rather fast straight area, minus the chicane, of course, the Ferraris may have the edge, but I think Damon may well just have the edge in the corners to just pull out enough of a gap to keep them well out of reaching distances. Senna has got past Brundle. That's happened off camera.
Yep, Senna has got past Martin Brundle. We'll wait to see if we get a replay here from the Canadian TV producers, but you can already see Brundle's got Hakkinen right behind him also, but Senna's been able to pass him, so that puts Ayrton Senna into the points, into 6th place, and he's got Eddie Irvine to catch ahead of him. And already the gap, you can see Senna 10 seconds behind Michael Schumacher, and here's a replay of Senna passing Brundle, I think.
That's what we're going to see here. Does he force an opening, or does Martin Brundle make a mistake? Let's have a look here, and I think he just backs out of it early. He knew that Senna was going to have the driving line, and knowing their history, of course, Senna not backing out of moves, Brundle, I think, took the smart decision there to try and finish the race, because that could have ended up in a little bit of a rear tap, which could have sent him spinning. So a good move there by Ayrton in the end.
Well, another driver is having a good day is Michael Schumacher. It's in control at the moment. This Benetton has started the first half of the races in all the races we've been to this season with such ferocity, has gone on into a strict lead, but then does seem to sort of fade towards the end of it, whether that's the Ford V8 engine perhaps not quite having the power. But I spoke to Flavio Briatore, who's the team principal, and they said very much that their money's on Michael, so they do have to have a second driver, which is JJ Leto, and they could be expecting Jos Verstappen to return potentially as early as next session when we go to Magny-Cours in France. I mean, there's rumours potentially of Johnny Herbert getting a Benetton drive next season, but either way, it's definitely Michael Schumacher's team at the moment. Technical director Ross Brawn really has got the best of these regulation changes and has got that Benetton absolutely singing at the moment.
He has, yes. They've just got to find a driver that can suitably back up Michael. It's no disrespect to JJ Leto, but he's not really a consistent point scorer. So in terms of the constructors, obviously Benetton do lead by 5 points, but that is mostly through the work of Michael Schumacher, whereas Williams have got 2 drivers capable of scoring points, which might make the constructors a little bit more closer than perhaps the driving side of things have become. Of course, though, there is a 10-point gap instead of a 5-point gap, so it's nip and tuck in both championships. But yes, a point-scoring second driver for Michael would certainly help relieve the pressure on the team that way.
Well, speaking of point scoring, Damon Hill's just starting to pull away from the Ferraris, start to reel in Michael Schumacher, but here is a driver after that 5-place grid penalty really has the bit between his teeth. He's charging after Eddie Irvine in the Jordan. Phenomenal performance, to be said, to qualify where he did in 5th place. Eddie Jordan delighted with what Irvine's been able to do, but an angry Ayrton Senna behind him, and he's got to be careful because Irvine has already served a ban this season for dangerous driving.
Yes, and of course let's not forget these two have a wonderful past where when of course Senna was very happy with a certain Eddie Irvine unlapping himself in I believe it was Suzuka a few years ago. Dare say Eddie didn't particularly care for that criticism, but it certainly riled up Ayrton, and he'll be might have that in the back of his mind that he needs to get past him rather quickly, as we're going to see a replay here.
Yeah, this is Martin Brundle and Hakkinen, isn't it? Oh, let's say, look at that's Brundle.
Yeah, he's got his braking zone all wrong there. The rear's locking up, so he's got a little bit eager on the brake pedal there, and he's lost himself a position and put himself under pressure from behind.
Well, confirmation then that Mika Hakkinen has got ahead of Martin Brundle, so Hakkinen now the leading McLaren in 7th place. This is the battle for 5th place. Ayrton Senna is 6th. Eddie Irvine is in 5th place in the Jordan. And we're looking at the gap, already it's pulling out to nearly 10 seconds on Senna on Hakkinen, but also in the process here though, he's closing up to him. Now, in terms of whether drivers prefer to make a move at the moment, sometimes you would expect it coming through the start-finish straight into turn 1. Seems to me, when they get to turns 9 and 10, that chicane, that seems to be their preferred moment here, but you can see the difference in speed in the Williams compared to the Jordan, and Eddie Irvine doing everything he can at the moment to keep Ayrton Senna behind him. And this is for race position, so he's perfectly entitled to do so.
Yes, no back marker mentality being needed here. This is very much a case of I have this position and I want to keep it, so he will make it as difficult as possible for Ayrton, although he's doing a good job so far. I think it's going to be inevitable, that extra power that the Williams engine has. It will certainly give him the benefits going down the straights, but in the corners Eddie is making it as difficult as possible.
He is indeed. The Jordan Hart engine itself is probably no match for the Williams V10. It's definitely been, certainly since Honda pulled out a couple of years ago, the engine to have here on the grids. And Senna here trying to make a move up on the inside. Does he have the ability to outbrake Irvine? He doesn't. He backs out. Another smart move, but Ayrton Senna backing out of 2 overtakes. I don't think I remember seeing that before from Ayrton.
No, maybe he's being a bit more cautious, perhaps, knowing that he needs to get some points here. Obviously that grid penalty has somewhat damaged his opportunity here, but to come away empty-handed would not be beneficial for him, so maybe just a bit of calculations going on behind that ruthless mentality that he goes, oh, big lock up there from Eddie Irvine, this might be the chance.
Well, Irvine has locked up, so I wonder if they'll be blistering. It looks like his front right that has taken a bit of damage. Senna already is right behind him as they race into turn 1. Doesn't seem to be maybe the cars even, but they don't seem as comfortable overtaking as did last season. Of course, there was a lot of driver aids available, ABS, traction control, stability control, all available. Now the mess they've got is a bit of power steering, but that's it. And this Williams really hasn't developed very well. That's a chassis which served Alain Prost and Nigel Mansell so well. Without its driver aids, just isn't the same car.
Yes, it's very much the driver being at one with the machine, and of all the people in the world that you want to be one with it, as he looked around the outside, but Irvine cutting him off again. If there was any driver in the world that you wanted to rely on skill with, it's certainly that man sat in that car now. So this might be the chance here. Perhaps is he going to send it up the inside? I think Irvine's covered him off again. So it might get a better exit this time round, so it might be all the way down to the chicane this time round.
Well, after his retirement at the Pacific Grand Prix, Senna with wins in Monaco and Spain, 10 points behind Michael Schumacher. And Senna will have the experience of winning world championships, a 3 times world champion in 1988 with a race to go against Alain Prost, and just too much power there on Eddie Irvine's. Jordan is able to race passes over the line. Ayrton Senna is into 5th place, and the 3 times world champion who really did run to the championships in 1991. As Irvine comes into the pits, let's have a look at the time. Anything under 6 seconds, they say, is a quick pit stop, and that's a fantastic pit stop there from Eddie Irvine. So 5 seconds really is what to aim for. And we're watching Mika Hakkinen, who's been rather fortuitous with Brundle's mistake and is able to move on as Brundle holds off Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Coming out in 9th place there was Eddie Irvine. Damon Hill in 2nd place, and now in a case of do you pit? And I think what we've seen at the moment in terms of pit stop strategy is Benetton have preferred to go early, and then when they've gone early it's allowed them to go deep into the race, but Williams have preferred to go later and make use of those fresher tyres and try and make a charge. We'll see if that's the case here. Let's watch to see if Schumacher does come into pits. If he does, he's going to go straight on rather than darts to your left, which he goes to his right and comes across and passes the start-finish straight again. And Schumacher continues to lead with Damon Hill right behind him.
Yes, nobody really blinking amongst the leaders in terms of pit stops, apart from Gerhard Berger, who is in 4th place, and he might well try his luck doing the undercut if he can. Let's see what the stop is like. You said the measure was 5 seconds for a good stop here, and well, 5.9 seconds. That's not slow by any means. A bit more fuel perhaps has gone in for obviously those thirsty V12 engines. Take a bit more fuel, so that's probably why. But yes, certainly amongst the leaders, nobody showing their hand as of yet.
Well, here is Ayrton Senna at the moment, and then is Michael Schumacher, who leads the Grand Prix and has qualified first. He's got the fastest lap. He's led everything at the moment. He's in for a Grand Slam, but beware the dangers of Canada and storming off into the distance. Remember Nigel Mansell here 3 years ago, leading by nearly a lap, making a mistake, accidentally turning the car off with half a lap to go. And Nelson Piquet coming over to win the race for Benetton that day. Moment of Nigel said was pure stupidity, and admitted to it then. Schumacher doesn't pit, he decides to go on. We'll wait to see if Damon Hill, whether he comes into the pits, and Hill is coming into the pits. So Damon Hill's into pits, and a Lacey. So the second Ferrari is coming, in comes Damon. Let's watch the time here, Trev.
Yes, well, the Ferrari's in as well. Under 5 seconds we're looking for. The stop clock has disappeared thanks to the race director telling us that Jean Alesi's in a 5.2. It's a good stop. How quick is the Ferrari? Not quite quicker than Damon Hill, but that'll be again more fuel probably going into the car. See where Damon Hill comes out. He's found himself a bit of a bubble, so won't be held up by traffic. Some clean air. He'll be able to put in some good lap times and try and catch up with Michael.
Yes, indeed. It's a good stop from Damon Hill, and it's a great point about those V12 Ferrari engines needing a bit more fuel. There we go. We just heard over the radio that Senna is going to be pitting at the end of this lap. I wonder if Schumacher will. He's already coming up to traffic. What a drive this is by Michael Schumacher. But effectively, he's 18 seconds ahead of Damon Hill, that's in 2nd place. And all that Damon can hope here is perhaps the traffic can slow Schumacher up enough to him to catch him. But at the moment, really, in the form Schumacher's in, he's been in a league of his own at the moment today.
Well, with the gap that he has, he's able to manage the car a bit better than everyone else as well. So manage the tyre, manage the fuel. Let's see, does he come into the pits this lap? He does, by the fact that Senna is coming in. So here we go. Needs a good stop to maintain his lead.
Well, he's got time. He's got an 18-second advantage, so all the mechanics can take their time, get enough fuel on, get that car guaranteed to be filled up. It's a slow stop, but I suspect the fact that there's such an advantage was why. Here's Ayrton Senna coming in now.
See, so there was a 6.2 for Schumacher. For Williams, they've done it in a 5.6. That's half a second difference almost. Is that going to do anything for track position? There goes one of the Ferraris.
Yeah, that's Gerhard Berger and Mika Hakkinen who've got past, so I suspect Ayrton Senna will be coming out in 6th place, but Hakkinen has yet to stop, so effectively that's 5th place because Hakkinen will not be able to get in and get out quick enough. 26 seconds is Schumacher's advantage at the moment over Damon Hill. He is absolutely storming this Grand Prix, and a phenomenal performance from Schumacher.
Yes, he's in a bit of a league of his own here, and with that much of a gap, I think that was a Williams in the background just coming into shot. It's yes, he's been able to manage the car. He can look after the tyres. He doesn't have to strain the car as much. And yep, there is a Williams in the background. Let's just see. So it's a 3.5 second gap between Schumacher and Hill. I think the 26 might have been between himself and Senna. I think it was showing the difference there. But work cut out for Damon to catch up to Michael, who can manage the race from this point. He doesn't have to make any more stops. He can look after the tyres and just be careful on those throttle inputs so he doesn't use too much fuel. So it's Schumacher's to lose.
Well, Damon Hill is putting in a real effort to try and chase down Michael Schumacher into the start-finish straight, nearly 180 mile an hour, braking down to 2nd gear. Then they'll go down to 1st gear, the slowest part of the circuit, nearly 45 mile an hour and moving away. Here is Ayrton Senna in 5th place. So Hakkinen has come into the pits, and we're being told by the race director that Simon Frensen's come into the pits. Hakkinen is 7th and Frensen is 8th. Brundle is 9th. And the other Benetton, if you want, and JJ Later is in 13th at the moment. He's got Mark Blundell and Rubens Barrichello ahead of him, but Ayrton Senna now knows that, well, from Senna's standpoint, with 8 laps to go, Schumacher leading. There's a Ferrari ahead of you at Gerhard Berger. 2 points certainly going to be better than none, and a chance to close that gap just a little bit more, maybe. But the problem you've got here is the man you're trying to close the gap on is going for his 4th win of the season, and has been his imperious form so far today. A brilliant drive by Schumacher, who can manage the tyres, can manage his throttle inputs, as Trevor's pointed out, can do everything he can to stay cool, calm and collected, and to just go ahead and effectively guide this Benetton home.
Yes, he's got a great head on those young shoulders, as Michael. Of course, he's been racing cars all his life. Of course, did some sports car racing beforehand, but he's only been in the sport for just over 3 years, and he's got the mentality of somebody who's been doing it for 10. So he's a really well-measured young man, and I dare say if he is going to win a world championship this year, he would be worthy of it based on the form that he's had early on so far this season.
Well, in particular, we'll always remember the altercation between he and Senna 3 years ago as the young Benetton driver, and Senna went ahead and had a little disagreement, shall we say at best. But so far, though, Schumacher and Senna's rivalry, certainly one of respect. It's not on the level of hatred, perhaps, that there was between Senna and Prost. There's a slight lock-up there from Schumacher going in, and Hakkinen's out of the race. His engine has blown. That Peugeot engine is so desperately unreliable, has gone for him. Hakkinen is out of the race, so that's going to move Martin Brundle and Mark Blundell and Rubens Barrichello up, and Brundle will move into the points with that.
Yes, unfortunate for Mika. He was having a reasonable race. The yellow flags are out. There's a lot of traffic. It's interesting to see where Mika Hakkinen might have blown up, but this is the trouble. Being this far in the lead, you've got to negotiate traffic, which could open the door to Hill if he gets stuck behind a battle, which there very much is going on in front of him. Whether they pay much attention to the blue flags. There's another backmarker just coming out of the pits. Is he going to get in the way? Oh, he's forced Schumacher wide!
And Schumacher's off! Schumacher's off! Oh, and that's Blundell! It's hit him in the tail! Through goes Damon Hill! Damon Hill leads the Canadian Grand Prix! Schumacher's up! There goes a Lacey! He can't let him through. There goes Berger. Schumacher sees this. And there goes, as he stalled. No, he's got the car going. Schumacher has got off. He's down into 5th place. Senna has found himself in 4th. Incredible at the moment. This took place. What happened here, Trev?
I think the back marker coming out of the pits straight into his driving line completely threw him off. Look, you see, he was going for the apex, had to take evasive action, and he's very lucky to still have the car intact. Gets a couple of bumps from one of the back markers too, which he won't appreciate, but yeah, then just couldn't quite get the car going. Disaster for Michael. He was in complete control. Just as I was saying, the back marker traffic might cause problems, and who was that who came out of the pits? He's caused all kinds of chaos.
Oh, it was one of the Ligiers. It looked like Eric Barnard to me, and I don't think he's going to be on Michael Schumacher's Christmas card list, but you're right there, Schumacher was right on the apex, but should he have anticipated that was going to be the case? But from everyone watching back home in Great Britain, you're not going to care, because there's your race winner at the moment, Damon Hill, and all he's got to do is negotiate the traffic and manage the races you've talked about here. And at this point here, Damon Hill's just got to manage it for the next 4 laps, and he's a race winner in 1994. Just locks up ever so slightly, but I'm sure Damon never expected that to happen. 3 seconds behind and never looking like he was catching Schumacher, and Michael Schumacher's made a mistake. Is that the pressure of the championship?
Well, in the heat of battle, simple things can become very complicated, and I think just negotiating back market traffic, which really should be a walk in the park, suddenly wasn't. And here we are, the race order completely jumbled up again. Damon Hill is leading. The potential for Williams to take charge of the Constructors' Championship as well if they play their cards right. But Damon Hill, yes, I would have loved to be at Mark Blundell. Unfortunately, he's out of the race too. But for Damon Hill, this will be Christmas coming early for him.
Well, looks like Mark Blundell did sustain damage on that impact with Michael Schumacher, so out with a transition point. It also means that the Ferraris are now second and third, so Lacey is second, Berger is third at the moment. What a moment that will be. So this is the key moment. Damon Hill, does he go ahead and force? Oh, he does, Damon. Oh, that's very brave and very nearly close to swiping it there. Damon taking a big accident, and
oh, someone's stuck.
Martini is stuck, but everyone's got past him. So Schumacher's got past Martini, he's got going again, so let everyone through. Well, that's the ultimate way to blue flag, isn't it? To just stop completely and everyone drive past you. But there was the race leader for 16 laps. For the next 4, he's going to be battling for 4th place, because there is Ayrton Senna ahead of him. Michael Schumacher in 5th. Cannot believe what has happened in this race. Can he catch and pass Senna? We're in for a brilliant 3 laps to go. And both these cars have got to meet all the traffic that at the moment Hill, Lacey and Berger are currently negotiating.
Yeah, he had a problem with his brakes, I think the previous lap, didn't he? It looked like he was maybe overheating the brakes perhaps, and that whole scenario with the back marker coming out of the pits suddenly may have just been too much for his car to handle at that point in time. But yes, cat amongst the pigeons, and there is Ayrton Senna not too far ahead of him. He's not too far behind the Ferrari either, is Ayrton Senna, so potential podium, double podium perhaps for Williams, which would really help him in the Constructors.
Well, it would do indeed. Also, we need to point out that Eddie Irvine is 6th and looking at a World Championship point for Jordan. That would be a phenomenal drive for everyone in the Jordan factory. Here is Senna at the moment. That is Bernard, who hit Schumacher in that exchange. So that's the reason that Schumacher was brought off the track, was the joining. So I don't think he's going to give any problems to Schumacher when Schumacher comes to lap him. I would imagine that Ligier will go ahead and sling as wide as possible out of courtesy. There is, you can see the power there, and there is Berger, and Senna's got really close, and Berger has got the power to get past the Lotus quite coolly and calmly in the end. And Schumacher's being held up by the Ligier again, and has got past going to turn 1, which I'm sure was what he really wanted to do in the first place. Senna has got past the Lotus also. There is the footwork ahead of Ayrton Senna, locks up ever so slightly, and Barrichello's got to drive now because he's got an angry Ayrton Senna right behind him on the charge.
Yes, and the back marker traffic it's very dangerous at the back there. Schumacher nearly collecting a car back there. He looked like diving down the inside. This must be incredibly frustrating for all the lead drivers involved. The traffic is so bunched up. It's very, very difficult for people to keep track of things. But Senna just slowly gaining on that Ferrari. Will he have enough laps to catch him? There's a bit of clean air now. He's going to get a tow down the main straight as well. It'll be very, very interesting these last few laps.
And Schumacher is also passed. So 3rd, 4th and 5th are racing one another, and it looks as if one of the footworks has spun off. And are they out of the race? I should suspect so. It looks like the marshals are running over. The gap between Senna and Schumacher is under a second. It was Andre de Cesaris that departed us from the race, that is. And Senna has now got Michael Schumacher giving everything right behind him. So a reminder of race positions. Damon Hill leads. John Lacey is 2nd. Gerhard Berger is 4th. Ayrton Senna is 4th. Michael Schumacher is 5th. And in the final point scoring position, a long way back, but still getting it, is Eddie Irvine. We're on lap 19 of 20. You can see De Cesaris' Sauber being pushed away, so looks as if it's a major mechanical fault. And past Katayama goes Senna, past Katayama. Will Schumacher do it? With ease. So 10 years experience for both Senna and for Gerhard Berger, and they've got a young whippersnapper behind them who is giving everything. 2 laps remaining. Damon Hill leads, and this Canadian Grand Prix is building to a fantastic conclusion.
Yes, it's really a matter of power at this point for the Ferrari. They're just about keeping that distance between themselves and Senna. Michael Schumacher is not having much difficulty closing the gap in terms of straight line speed either. So this is a fantastic drag race that we're going to have down this fast area of the circuit now. Schumacher really getting in the tow, which is probably going to help that V8 just make up that little bit of power difference there is between the V10 and the V8. But this is the tough spot to negotiate traffic, this chicane. And the Ferrari's been held up a little bit, and it's just getting very, very close now.
Yeah, there goes Berger, who's able to negotiate it. Senna has got past the Lotus. Schumacher, I just thought he was going to get held off for half a second there. And Schumacher has had to go slightly wider, slightly slower, and that's allowed Senna to pull away. So Senna is in 4th and moving away to the distance. Schumacher is in 5th, and now a case with the yellow flags out. Can Senna catch Barrichello?
Well, it's going to be...
Watch out for debris.
Well, speaking of Barrichello, there he goes out of the race. I mean, who's going to catch Berger, as I should say?
Yes, well, Senna's got right up to the back of it. Look at the traffic, it's really closed the gap. There's a chance potentially here for Senna at the last couple of laps. Could he get past? Deep into the braking zone.
Oh, Olivier Parnis there just holding up Barrichello, Berger, as I should say. And there goes Senna. He's got past now at Schumacher. Can he get past Olivier Parnis? He's had trouble with the Ligiers today, Schumacher, and he still has trouble with the Ligiers, refusing to yield the position. But on the final lap, coming through in the final few section, well, we didn't think this was possible for Damon Hill. He's got 1 chicane to negotiate. He's got the final 2 corners to do after this straight. And when Damon Hill comes across, he will win his first race of 1994. Add to the 3 that he won last season. The flags are out on the circuit. He brakes the very last time. He'll jink left, he'll jink right. The Williams mechanics are out, and Damon Hill comes home to win the Canadian Grand Prix in fantastic style. A brilliant drive from Damon Hill. That was fantastic. A wonderful drive from Damon Hill to take the win. He takes a fantastic first place with Jean Alesi and Gerhard Berger alongside him. Ferrari picking up maximum points in terms of where the race could stand. In terms of the championship, Senna now is just 9 points behind Michael Schumacher, but Damon Hill enters the fray with 28 points, can certainly be a contender, you feel. And in terms of the constructors, Williams has moved ahead of Benetton, and Ferrari look to have leapt ahead from McLaren. As for us next, we'll see you in Magny-Cours for the French Grand Prix, which you can see live here on Trevor Sports.
I've got a lump in my throat.